These latest arrests and what it means in the fight against ISIL. We're joined by Thomas Ruskin in Miami. He's a former investigator with the New York City Police Department. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us. Given your background, kind of walk us through leading up to these arrests. Why do you think they made their move now? I know the FBI has apparently been tracking them for some time, since last summer. Kind of fill in some of the blanks, if you will, on the arrests and what you think led to this.
I think what led to it is they felt that they were going to become mobile. They were going to transport. They potentially could have left the New York City area, and then they would have had to search for them in Turkey before they moved into Syria. That's what normally brings down or ends an investigation at that point in time.
How big of a threat do you think they pose to civilians or the U.S. government? One of them, as you heard, allegedly offering to kill President Barack Obama, also saying that they go after police officers.
I think that anyone who is a lone wolf or acting in concert with someone else who potentially has the mindset, the mens rea to potentially kill somebody, including a police officer, has to be investigated, has to be arrested, and has to be brought to justice. So the fear of law enforcement has always been the lone wolf, the guy who's going to walk into a shopping mall, walk into Grand Central Station, walk into a subway stand, and detonate himself, killing innocent people who are just going their business that day.
Let me ask you this question, because I think it's an interesting point that came out today. The FBI Director James Comey saying that the Bureau is conducting investigations of violent homegrown extremists in all 50 states, all of them. Should the concern be that these folks will go overseas and join ISIL, or is the concern that they will actually stay here and, you just talked about it, carry out a lone wolf attack?
I think it's both. I think, listen, we're in the United States, so we're worried about what's going to happen in our states, in our cities, and close to home to our loved ones. So I think that, my fear is, what is some lone wolf, what is some radical going to do here in the States? If they go to fight with ISIL, how are we going to monitor if they come back into the States, especially if they have a U.S. passport? That's the concern of law enforcement and immigration and customs officials in this country.
These guys apparently very much intent on getting to Turkey and then into Syria. Are we seeing a growing flow of foreign fighters going abroad to join ISIL? I know we've been talking about this for a long time. Is there a way to shut the doors on this sort of thing?
It's going to be difficult. I think that, one of the plans that I put out there is I think that countries have to work with the United States and monitor you once you go overseas. I can now fly to France and move into England, and the United States has no idea where I left. They just know where I left to and where I came back to. I think that what has to happen over time, countries have to work with the U.S. government and with each other to know where people are moving in Europe. Are they a threat? Could they have been in Syria? Could they have been in Turkey? And what is the potential threat to this country, the UK, Paris, where they've recently had attacks like we have?
Thomas, before you go, I have to ask you this question. These arrests, of course, coming as funding for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, very much up in the air, set to run out on Friday. That's become kind of a political hot potato here in Washington, D.C. What impact could these arrests have, and these other cases, you brought them up, have on this political battle for a solution?
Oh, it definitely would have a drastic impact on the Department of Homeland Security. I think Congress was hired to do a job, and I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's time for them to understand that the American public wants them to do a job and give law enforcement and Homeland Security the dollars that's needed to fight this terroristic act and possibly an attack on our states.
Thomas Ruskin joining us from Miami. Thank you so much.